Today we're ranking every single Jason Voorhees look from worst to best. Let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade. This is the Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're introducing a segment I would like to call Now, the first variation of this was whenever we did a tier list ranking of several different slashers. You can find that video up here somewhere if you want to check it out. And today I wanted to do a little bit of a play on that by taking horror icons that are constantly evolving through time, taking all of their outfits and looks and ranking them from worst to best. And this channel is embarrassingly lacking any Jason Voorhees content. So I figured why not start off the Dress to Kill segment with Jason Voorhees. Now, to be clear, I am only ranking the outfit itself. Whether or not the movie was good or bad, or whether or not the actor was good or bad, either is completely irrelevant. We are only ranking aesthetic. And before we get into it, I just want to let you know, these are just my opinions. Our lists are probably going to be vastly different, and that's okay. Variety is the spice of life. And I'm genuinely curious to see if you want to leave your rankings in the comments below. I will be checking those out. Or if you don't have time to do that right now, I understand. You can just go ahead and leave me your favorite looking Jason Voorhees in the comments below. And today we are ranking 13 different looking Jason. So the looks that we will be ranking are Sackhead Jason from part 2, Hockey Mask Jason from part 3, Bloody Hockey Mask Jason from part 4, and for part 5 I'm going to be picking the Hallucination Jason, which I wasn't originally going to put on my list since he is only a hallucination in that film. However, I wanted 13 looks to pick from. And then after part 5 we have part 6, Undead Jason, part 7, Severely Rotted Jason, part 8 with the Slippery Slimy Jason. We've got Meatball Head Jason from Jason Goes to Hell. We've got two specifically different looks in Jason X. We have the regular Hockey Mask Jason, and we have Uber Jason. And Uber Jason actually doesn't even work for Uber at all, so that's kind of a letdown. Up next, we've got the Freddy vs. Jason Jason, and we've got two looks from the remake. We have the remake Sackhead Jason, and we have the remake Hockey Mask Jason. So now that we got all of those out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Coming in at number 13, we have Jason Goes to Hell, the Meatball Jason. Now, I have never liked this look personally. I don't know why they went with all blue. He's never really worn blue. This is the only film that he wears a completely blue outfit. I'm also not a fan of the really huge head that he has with the wispy hairs. That's always looked very off for me, and it's also very off-putting and not in the good way. And I'm also just not a fan of the hockey mask being pushed into his skin. It's never been one of my favorite looks. Definitely not one of my favorite movies at all. As a matter of fact, that might be my least favorite Friday the 13th film, which we will discuss whenever we get to that review series. But overall, the Jason Goes to Hell outfit doesn't work for me. I don't like it at all. And when I started doing this list, there was no doubt in my mind that Jason Goes to Hell Jason was definitely going to be at the bottom. So up next in 12th place, we have the normal looking Jason from Jason X. Although I do kind of like the hockey mask, I like it for not being a Jason hockey mask. I just like it as a mask in general. However, in this instance, it just looks kind of weird on Kane Hodder's face. I'm also not a fan of the patchy nature of the hair on his head. I personally prefer my Jason to be bald. I'm also not a fan of the outfit, how it's tattered and torn. And I know that people say that this is the part 7 Jason that is slowly healing and recovering over time. And if that is in fact the case, it still just really doesn't do it for me. Like, the part 7 looks cool because of the spinal column and the rot and the state of deterioration that Jason himself is in. This just looks like a normal dude who got in a fight with a lawnmower. But yeah, the normal Jason in Jason X just really doesn't do it for me. It also looks like they have Kane Hodder wearing pads or something like that, and I don't know. The whole thing, the whole look, it just throws me off, and you know, I do love that movie. So second to last in 12th place is definitely going to have to be the hockey mask version of Jason from Jason X. Up next in 11th place, and this one is going to get some people mad at me, and that's okay. In 11th place, that's going to have to go to Sackhead Jason from part 2. I've never been a fan of Sackhead slashers. It's never been my thing. I'm also just not a fan of the overalls. I don't like overalls, mostly because the people that I knew back in the day that wore overalls were hillbillies that used to jump me all the time, and so there's a personal bias with the overalls. I also don't like the potato sack on the head, the bed sheet, whatever the hell it is, the pillowcase. Like, for me personally, it just feels kind of lazy, and I know production was having a hard time like figuring out what Jason should look like in part 2. I understand that, but honestly, I think you could have done better than just a potato sack on the head. But yeah, hillbilly sackhead Jason, never been my thing. However, I will say that I do like the makeup underneath the mask. Makeup underneath the sackhead mask, I think is phenomenal. However, the sackhead, not a fan of it. Now, even though I don't like the sackhead, I do like the makeup underneath, so I'll give him a pretty decent compliment there. So, up next, in 10th place, we have the Freddy vs. Jason. That was weird to say. Now, as much as I love Freddy vs. Jason as a movie, Jason's getup has always kind of bothered me. Like, I honestly don't mind the jacket. This is where he was introduced with a jacket for some reason. However, his head is like colored and shaped like a dolphin, and the mask is just entirely too tall. Like, if they would have shaved down the hockey mask a little bit and put an axe mark where the axe mark should go, I think this would have been a better looking Jason. However, he just kind of looks off. He kind of looks weird. And also, I don't like the droopy eye they gave him that is like permanently sat in the mask that doesn't blink and doesn't move at all. As a matter of fact, I think it would have benefited a little bit more if they would have just put like some black mesh behind one of the eyes so only one eye was visible, and the other one, it would make it look like it doesn't line up with the mask, and I think that would have been a little bit more effective for me personally. But that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people love the Freddy vs. Jason, and I don't blame you for it. It's a great film. It's one of my favorites in the franchise. It's just, I don't know, something about Jason just feels off aesthetically. Up next, in 9th place, we have the remake hockey mask Jason. Now, I do love Jason's portrayal in the remake, and I really, really love the hockey mask that was used in this film. I like the way it looks, I like the way it was weathered, and I like that it started off just already messed up. The problem for me, honestly, is the head sculpt of the makeup underneath. I think it's a little too big for the mask, and it just sort of looks off a little bit to me. The makeup head, not the mask, but the head is a little too big. If they would have brought that down just a little bit, it would have been more visually pleasing for me personally. And I think the outfit's pretty okay. You know, this is another continuation of the jacketed Jason Voorhees. Jacket looks good, the outfit looks good, it all looks pretty good. I'm also not a fan of the wispy hair in this one as well. I think if they would have made the undermask prosthesis a little bit smaller and made him completely bald, this would have been like definitely way at the top of my list. But because of those two little things, unfortunately, he's going down in 9th place. Now, before we move on any further, I just want to let you guys know that I love the rest of the Jason looks. Everything from here on out is pretty much from least best all the way to best. So up next, in 8th place, we have the Hallucination Jason from Part 5. Now again, I wasn't originally going to put Hallucination Jason on this list, but I did want the 13 looks for Friday the 13th. I thought it was only fitting. And the Hallucination Jason looks really cool. I love the fact that the hockey mask is absolutely destroyed, weathered, and very, very dirty. And I love the continuity from Part 3 and Part 4, that the outfit is almost identical with those two films. So you're definitely going to get style points for continuity. But yes, the Hallucination Jason 4, as little as you see him in the film, it's one of the best parts of the movie. I mean, that whole movie is pretty great. I have a fun time with it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I do. So up next, in 7th place, we have Uber Jason. Now, I remember seeing the trailer for this way back in the day and thinking, what the hell is that? And I honestly thought it was going to be a dumb decision to have a mechanical Jason in space. And me and my buddy Kyle went and saw this movie in the theater, and I had a great time. It's so bad. It's so bad, but it's so good. I'm getting distracted. Anyways, back to Uber Jason. So Uber Jason's got a lot of mechanical parts. I do love the mask, and I also love the contact lenses that they put on Kane Hodder with the red eyes. And I also like the texture that is in the scalp of the mask, the little bits of skin that you see on the helmet looking thing. Like, overall, the look is basically just Terminator Jason, and I mean, it feels fitting. I'm still so bummed that the Friday the 13th game didn't get to have that DLC in it. Oh man, that was a fun game. Coming in 6th place, we have Part 6, Zombie Jason. Now, I do love the fact that in Part 6, they kept the continuity of the outfit. He's wearing the olive green shirt, the tan pants, the boots, and this would have been much higher on my list if it wasn't for the stupid yellow gloves. I'm just not a fan of yellow. And I also like that he has a utility belt for killing. He's like the homicidal Batman. But the most important look of this Jason is definitely going to have to go to that cake. So up next, in 5th place, we have the Friday the 13th remake Sackhead Jason. Now, I know I dogged on the Sackhead Killer Part 2. This one works for me, however. And the reason it works for me is simply because of how he's wearing it. This is a very form-fitting, almost wrapped Sackhead mask, and I like the way it looks. And the rest of the outfit is identical to the 9th place hockey mask version of this character, so we don't really need to go into details with that, but the Sackhead actually works for me in this instance, and this is the only instance a Sackhead mask has ever really done it for me. I guess Tommy's from Fear Street isn't too bad either, but those are the only two, and I'm sticking to it. So now we have 4th place, and that's going to have to be Slimy Jason from Jason Takes Manhattan. I have always loved this Jason look. Now, it does lack a continuity from the rest of the films up to this point. He's wearing a dark gray, almost black button up and black pants with black boots, and he also has black gloves. And honestly, the only reason he's not higher on the list, like I thought he was going to be a top 3, but the two main reasons that he's not going to be in the top 3 for me is the unmasking. He looks like a moldy pumpkin. He doesn't look scary at all. I don't know what they were thinking with that design of Jason, but I mean, there was a lot of choices made in that film that weren't good. And another thing holding him back is also going to be the cheek chevrons that are facing the wrong direction. That has always bugged me. They've never faced that way before this film. They haven't done it after. And yeah, it's always bugged me, but you know, it is what it is. I will, however, say I like how small the chevrons are. Even though they're not facing the right way, I like the tiny little chevrons that they've got in the cheek and on the forehead as well. And now we reach the top 3 Jason looks for me of all time. In 3rd place, we are going to have Part 3 Jason from Friday the 13th 3D. This is the film that started off the entirety of the hockey mask era of Jason. Now, whenever I mention less is more, this is very much that case. I love that it's a simple concept, it's executed well, and Jason just looks really cool. And I also like the makeup that they did that you get to see for a brief second whenever he's hung, and then again at the very, very end of the movie. I like the way that the makeup was done, and I thought it was done really well. Now, the makeup that they originally had, I'm not going to take into consideration here, but I thought that was really cool. As much as I love the first makeup, I'm not taking it into consideration here. I'm only going off of what we see in the film, and what we see in the film is actually still pretty cool regardless. So in 3rd place, we have Part 3, and that just lines up really well. We had Part 3 and then Part 6 was in 6th place. I love it when things like that come together. So the silver medal in 2nd place goes to Part 4 Jason. So this was almost number 1. This and the number 1 spot are constantly battling for my favorite. Number 1 and number 2 are pretty much interchangeable. But yes, the Part 4 Jason looks amazing. Despite the fact that he, grew long nails overnight for whatever reason, aesthetically they changed that, and I don't know why, but I like the way it looks. I also like the fact that they kept the continuity with the axe mark, the blood. We got a lot of missing chevrons. Also very much like the way Jason looks unmasked here. I think that Tom Savini did a really good job on that makeup. They really kept it in line with the aesthetic of the kid Jason from the very end of Friday the 13th. Not to mention, this is also one of my all-time favorite Friday the 13th films. So, taking home the gold in 1st place, we have Jason Voorhees from Part 7. I absolutely love the way this Jason looks. Like, we have all the damage from the previous films all grouped up into one dilapidated mess. Now you'll hear me from time to time say less is more, and that is true, but sometimes, like in this case, more is absolutely more, and sometimes more is the best. And that is very much true in this case. You see all the rot, you get to see the spinal column in Jason, you get to see bits of skull, we get to see an exposed jaw underneath a broken hockey mask. Also, the mask itself looks really cool, really nice and dirty and messed up. As far as, you know, zombie Jason goes, this is the all-time greatest looking zombie Jason in my opinion. And I hope to one day build a life-size bust of that version of Jason to have chilling in the background of these videos. So that's just gonna about do it for me. If you liked the video, let me know by leaving me a like. And I do fully intend to keep this series going as long as I can, because there's a whole lot of different aesthetics that you can pick from as far as slashers go. You know, we got Michael Myers, we even got Ghostface, because Ghostface looks different in every single film, and I'll have to point out the minutia of that. But I can also do like the different sculpts of Chucky, the different makeups for Freddy. There's a plethora of people that we can do this for, so let me know in the comments below who you want to see me do next. So if you like this video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate, I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade, this has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends. Yeah, that was a fun little video. This is going to be the only video that I could do this week because I had to do vocals for my band, and this microphone was having a hell of a time trying to get synced in with my recording studio, and for whatever reason, like, it just wasn't reading this as a microphone. I don't know why. Super annoying, and it ate up a lot of unnecessary time, but it is what it is. Also, I want to point out the fact that we've got a new camera, so hopefully this looks nice and cool. Hopefully the audio issue has been fixed, and if there's any buzzing in the audio, then it's definitely going to be the mic or the preamp that is fed directly into my camera, and I'll have to think of a different solution. And to let me know that you are a real one by watching this far, I'm going to ask you to comment down below, Spooky Waffles, where my Spooky Waffle gang at? And that's gonna do it for me. This is the end of the end of the end of the video, so catch you guys in the next one. Peace.